Trap metal dead. I've seen this opinion shared over and over again in my comment section. Every time I post a video about anything related to trap metal, everybody's like, the sound is dead, it's over. So do I think that it is? Well, you're gonna have to wait and hear my full opinion in this video before I tell you. Because before we can talk about if trap metal is dead or not, we need to talk about where it came from, because people can't even decide what it is, let alone where it originated from. So just to make sure that no stone is unturned, we're gonna go all the way back to DMX. A lot of people like to say that trap metal really originated in New York with DMX as well as Waka Flocka. DMX and Waka Flocka are both definitely influential in their own ways. I would say that Waka Flocka is more of a screaming Lil Jon club banger type of guy. Okay! He doesn't really have all that makes up trap metal. He definitely did set the tone for it, but I wouldn't describe him as pure trap metal. So I hear you asking me, what even is trap metal? Well, people can't even decide on that. There seems to be two different types of things that could make up trap metal. We have the screaming, distortion, X type of vocals where people just go crazy. Bitch, I'm sipping tea in your hood. What the fuck is up? The absolute coming from your core throat yelling Zilla Kami type of style. These bitches think I'm stupid. I ain't stupid. Both of these are equally as trap metal as the other. We know kind of what we're looking for. We have to go back to the early SoundCloud wave to discover where it truly came from. Now, a lot of people like to attribute the first ever trap metal song to Bones, and I'm not here to disagree with that. That could be true, but I would say the true originator and the one who really got the sound started in a big way was Syringe. Syringe really started to pop off early in the SoundCloud wave. In fact, he was actually on SoundClick before he was even on SoundCloud. Music definitely had the sound that we're looking for. It was distorted, it was aggressive, but it wasn't yet popularized. He definitely got himself a fan base, there's no doubt about that, but it wasn't breaking through into the mainstream or even widely accepted by the underground. It wasn't until XXXTentacion broke onto the scene with Look at Me that it really started to break into the mainstream. And when this song came out, nobody had heard anything that sounded like it at all. It was super aggressive, the beat was distorted, it just sounded like pure noise, but there was so much raw energy and aggression in it that it caught a lot of people's attention. This type of music definitely captured the hearts and minds of a whole new generation. I don't want to get too deep into it, and you can say it's cringy or whatever you want, but I would say that in this generation as a man, it's very much frowned upon to get angry, so a lot of men end up internalizing their anger. So hearing this type of music finally let them push it out. There was a primal instinct to love this type of music, and X just kept dropping banger after banger after banger alongside his partner Ski Mask the Slump God, and I would say he never really got to live up fully to Look at Me. It almost didn't matter because he wasn't trying to make the next big hit. He was just living in the moment, creating tracks that just had the energy that he wanted. It sounded like music that was just made on the spot. It sounded like music that didn't even need to be written, thought about, or anything besides that. It was just pure energy, and I will say that over and over again. The next big moment for trap metal was the Revenge Tour. There was drug use, there was insane mosh pits. This was just pure chaos on the road. Perfectly highlights the next thing that really matters to trap metal. Unlike every other type of music, trap metal very much needs live shows to exist. You can listen to emo rap in your headphones and you can enjoy it, and definitely if you go to a show you're also going to enjoy it, but probably around the same. Like, there is something to going to a live show, but listening to trap metal at home versus listening to trap metal at a fucking concert is a completely different experience. And I would even say that trap metal shows have inspired the entire way that the underground does concerts nowadays. These early trap metal shows are not like the shows nowadays. It wasn't about going to a concert to get near an artist, get a picture with them, and then post it online. This was just about being in the experience and feeling the raw energy let off by X's vocals in person. And meanwhile, while all of that insanity was going on with X, there was also an entirely new wave coming out of New York with the Scum Squad, comprised of Zilla Kami, Sos Mula, and Tekashi 6ix9ine. These three pioneered basically everything that you think of when you think of trap metal. Sure, the sound was already defined and a lot of people were running with it, but the aesthetic that these three put off was definitely different. Not to mention, up to this point, there was only really one type of trap metal. We were only dealing with the distorted, screaming, straight from the throat type of vocals. They were doing the straight from the core, raw, yelling type of trap metal. And in my opinion, I prefer that because there's more variety that can be done with that. You can do a whole lot of different stuff when you can yell and you can really control your voice. There definitely is something to just hearing people full-on death yell into a mic that's definitely unreplicated, but this yelling style is also equally as valid. Actually though, the Scum Squad days did not last long and Tekashi 6ix9ine died so 6ix9ine could be born, and as entertaining as it was to see him take over the rap game with his silly antics, he kind of left that style behind. Sure, we got Gummo, Kuda, Kiki, oh wait, that's not the song, that were all still kind of in that style, but after Day 6ix9ine dropped, we kind of seen that get left behind. And while the underground scene was definitely popping off with groups like GCSY, Scarlord, and other artists coming into the scene, the mainstream's idea of trap metal was only being taken from XXXTentacion and Tekashi 6ix9ine, and both of them ended up leaving that style behind. It led to the whole genre being thought of as almost a gimmick. It was just something that people did to get attention on them before they switched genres. And I'm not blaming X for switching styles because I definitely think he needed to do that to reach a wider audience for himself, but I do think that it kind of left trap metal a little bit high and dry. Meanwhile, City Morgue did continue to grow, getting more and more people into the genre, but after signing a deal, we can all agree that they started to get a little bit too comfortable with their style and sound. And it got to the point where it was starting to sound a little bit stale, and I completely blame the label for this. I don't think they understand trap metal or the way that it's supposed to work, so they didn't let them put out their best work. They just let them put out the generic screaming rap that they thought would be popular. So with the Morgue not putting their best foot forward, who could be the one that could bring trap metal back into the mainstream? Maybe Scarlord? Well, I don't think so, because a lot of people see him as a YouTuber and kind of think his whole gimmick is cringy, so he wasn't able to break through in the same way. Kind of a tough back and forth where we definitely want to see these artists break into the mainstream, but at the same time we don't want to see them change everything about themselves, because then there's no point. And as I've spoken of before, for the mainstream palette, you need somebody who looks a little bit more comfortable for their sensibilities. People like Ghostmane and Sos Mula scare these motherfuckers, so you need somebody that's a little bit more palatable for them to understand. Enter in Josiah. Say what you want about Josiah, I know a lot of people don't like him and see him as a sellout, but it doesn't matter because he was somebody who almost made it. Shenanigans was huge, Case 19 was a big song too, even though it had 6ix9ine on it. Really felt like he was going to make the distance and be the next big artist to break through, but unfortunately, of course, he got compared to X, as well as his first album being kind of a mixed bag, kind of fucked him up. And this is something you're going to start to see over and over again when it comes to trap metal. They all get compared to X because X is the biggest one to ever do it. Some artists are able to break this label off. I feel like Josiah was always stuck in that box, and while he still does good work and is definitely a great artist, one of my favorite in fact, I don't think he has that chance to break into the mainstream anymore. Who's the next one that could do it? Well, enter in Tokyo's Revenge. Now, this guy had it all. He had the mainstream on his side, he had the industry backing him, he had 2 hit songs on TikTok back to back, he made great trap metal music, and he seemed like he embodied that vibe that we were all looking for. But even with all that, there definitely was some obstacles that he had to overturn. First of all, he had the X comparisons, which he definitely had early on in his career, but it seems like he actually was able to get past that. He paid a lot of respect and homage to X, and a lot of his fans respected that and let him push through those X comparisons. But you would think overcoming that, he would be in the clear to finally break into the mainstream, but what came next was the allegations that he was actually an industry plant. Now, being accused of being an industry plant is never a good thing, but when it comes to a trap metal artist, you definitely don't want to be accused of that because it's an inherently authentic genre. But surprisingly, somehow Tokyo was actually able to overcome these allegations once again. All he had to do to get these rumors off his back was talk to the people who were accusing him of being an industry plant. He spoke to them in a clear and concise way, explained his entire past, shining a light on all the details, and explained exactly how he got to where he was. Just like that, he got past another hurdle. He seemed unstoppable. He had a Kid Laroi feature, he had a 24K Golden feature, and I know a lot of people will say these artists are actually trash, and they definitely are, but they are what the mainstream likes, so getting a feature from them definitely helped him. The entire time, it seems like he wasn't selling out either, until, well, of course, the real allegations hit. Tokyo decided to do what we call in the wave an underground special, if you know exactly what I mean. I did a video on him if you want to check it out that goes into more explanation of exactly what happened in that situation, but for now, what happened is that Tokyo was completely stopped in his tracks, his career died, and once again we were left with nobody to break through into the mainstream. And now here we are almost 3 years later. X has passed, 6ix9ine's next, you know what happened to Tokyo, Josiah can't break through to the mainstream, and City Morgue is actually going to break up very soon. Things are just not looking good for the genre as a whole, and it seems like all hope is lost. Many to say that trap metal is a dead art, it's a gimmick, and anyone who runs with it now is just a gimmick artist. I mean, look at Xanakin Skywalk. He definitely had a good run, but a lot of people look at him as a meme artist, as well as Lil Darky and the like. I mean, NASCAR Aloe is still doing well, but a lot of people also consider him as a fallen off artist just because he was never able to break through to that level. Now, I think NASCAR never really wanted to be a mainstream artist, so it's kind of unfair to compare him to that, and that just leaves us in a weird place because we're still lacking that artist that was actually able to break through. And I know a lot of people are asking me, why does that even matter? Trap metal has always been an underground genre. It doesn't need to be mainstream. If it ever got mainstream, it would definitely be ruined. Well, when I say mainstream, what I really mean is more widely accepted. Look at the Suicide Boys. They're definitely not mainstream, but they are bigger artists than they ever were. And trap metal is a genre that thrives off of a lot of people being involved, big shows, giant mosh pits, and a lot of raw energy. We really need a lot of people to be interested in it. But that leads us to where we are now. The genre seems like it's dying, the shows aren't doing as well, and a lot of people just think that it's over. It's a dead fad, and it never really should have been considered a genre in the first place. In fact, a lot of artists that run with the whole trap metal sound don't even consider themselves trap metal because they either consider the genre corny or they're just afraid to be compared to XXXTentacion. And I mean, who could blame them? Because after all, trap metal is dead. I'm just fucking with you. If you've seen this channel at all, you know that I definitely don't believe that trap metal is dead by any means. And why do I think that? Well, it's because trap metal is exactly what we need right now. It's because it comes from a place of rebellion, a raw, untapped energy that's shared inside of all of us. It's exactly the opposite of what the mainstream wants. It basically thrives off of that, and that's why a lot of labels won't accept it, because they don't understand it. It makes people feel too much, and they just want people to be more sedated, listening to more comfortable music. They just want to buy. But because of the way the music industry is right now, it's created a powder keg that is ready to be lit at any moment. What we need is one artist, one person who can light that match and really set off a whole new wave of the trap metal scene. You see, X was definitely good at music, and everybody really enjoyed what he did, but what really drew people to him was his personality. It's just something about the guy that everybody who met him had something to say about him. Whether it was good or bad, they definitely never had nothing to say about him, and you have to think about that. When his name is brought up nowadays, people don't just say, I don't really care about X. They either say, I hate him or I love him, and that is exactly what we need for trap metal. Somebody who just has such a personality, such magnetic energy that it just draws everybody in. It gets all these kids that are too afraid to even get into the mosh pits and dance to get off the walls and really go out there and have a crazy time. Trap metal is more than music. It's a full-on movement, and I think that it's coming back. Next time that somebody says to me trap metal is dead, I'm going to tell them this. I don't think it's dead. I think it's just sleeping and waiting for the right moment to come back full force. And I think all it's going to take is just one artist. There's one artist right now waiting in the underground. Somebody who has that energy, who has that personality, who just hasn't been discovered yet, and they need a way to get seen by the mainstream and just seen in the underground in general. I mean, look at X. He had no jumper, he had that one interview, and then he was off to the races. He just needed that one chance for people to truly look at him. But nowadays, No Jumper and Lyrical Lemonade have both changed, and while I'm glad they got the chance to make it to the mainstream and work with all the artists they ever wanted to work with, it is kind of sad that the underground just got left behind. That's the niche that I want to fill. I want to be the person that can help those artists make their way into the mainstream, or at least get noticed by more of the underground. And with a whole new wave of talented artists on the rise, I know that's going to happen very soon. So shout out Knife Gang. It's been really cool to see the support I've gotten over the last few months, and just everybody who's helped me, checked out the channel, and just helped me grow in general. So if you want to subscribe and be part of the movement, that'd be really awesome. But if you don't and you just want to watch this video, that's fine too. Big shout out to everyone who's ever helped me out, and a giant shout out to my neighbor for smashing around the entire time I was recording this video. That really helped out around here. But in all seriousness, guys, thank you so much for watching. Talk to you next time. Bye.